Another resume deep dive. Gervonta Davis. Let's he doesn't appear on Box Rec anymore? No? Okay.
This is high-speed chess. That's what you're watching.
What is going on, my guys? We're back with another resume deep dive. We haven't done one in a minute. We're going to do Gervonta Tank Davis. He has a big fight coming up with Mr. Jake Paul. It seems like he's punching his ticket out of boxing. He's looking to retire. How good was his resume? Let's do the deep dive. Mr. Tank Davis, 30 years old, 5'5", 5'7" reach, 97% win ratio. This guy, I believe at one point was really great. Don't know about now. Now, if you guys are new to this series or whatever, we're going to start probably at his first world title fight. That's typically where we start. The first world title fight. We're going to be objective here. We're going to look at who that opponent was before he fought Tank and what he did after fighting Tank. And we're even going to look at the Ring Magazine rankings. I have them all right here. And see maybe where he was ranked. And we're going to give him a rating. And at the end, we'll see how great of a resume Gervonta Davis had starting in 2017, January 14th, very close to my birthday. He fought Jose Pedraza for the IBF Super Featherweight title, in which he stopped Mr. Jose Pedraza. Let's take a look at it. Jose Pedraza finished his career after Tank. He went 7-7-1 or 7-6-1. So not that great after. Now that's okay, because we could look at who he was before and see if it was justified. The hype was justified. So when he got to Gervonta Davis, come on, load for me. Gervonta Davis, he won the title when? He won the title in 2015. He defended that title twice. Wasn't a long reigning champion. He took out some guys I never heard of. He had a fight in Alabama, Ohio, and Connecticut. Pretty big jump. And he goes and he fights to Gervonta Davis. I don't think Jose Pedraza had any notable fights before Gervonta Davis. Tevin Farmer. That's why I went back. I thought he kind of did have a Tevin Farmer, which he stopped in 8 rounds. Tevin Farmer was 7-3-1 at the time. It's amazing how this guy has been able to build the career he's been able to and stay relevant through all this. But all good, all good. He goes on. He goes to fight an 8-rounder. UD's a guy. 10-rounder UD's a guy, Antonio Moran, who fought Devin Haney and Andy Cruz, I believe. And then he UD's another guy in the 12-rounder for the WBO lightweight title. And then he attempts, I believe he attempts the unification with Loma, making him a 2-division. He obviously fails. That's just Lomachenko. I'm not going to hold that against him. But he does become 2-division. Then after that, it seems like he doesn't ever fight for a world title again, which isn't a bad win. So let's take a look, actually. 2010 lightweight. Let's pull up Pedraza. At lightweight, he was only ranked for 1 year, which was 2018. He was ranked 6th. Now we need super featherweight Pedraza. He was ranked for 2 years. This is a really solid win. Jose Pedraza is not the worst fighter on the planet. He's not the best fighter on the planet. I like that win. I'm really harsh on Tank. Computer, please load. I'm really harsh on Tank. It's a 6 out of 10. No, Jerry, that's unfair. It's a 7. It's a really good 7. It's not a Victor Postal, right? Victor Postal was a guy I was very unfamiliar with. Did my research and knowledge. And Victor Postal was a great win. Then he goes on, he fights a guy named Liam Walsh. Let's take a look at Liam Walsh here. Liam Walsh was undefeated at the time. He just fought Maxie Hughes in 2019. Did not have a long career after fighting Gervonta Davis. When did he fight Tank? Oh, it was on the first page. My bad. He fought Tank. Wow. Yeah, he did not fight long after. Fought an 8-rounder, 10-rounder. His only loss was to Gervonta Davis. Let's see. Before fighting Tank, don't think he fought this guy. This is the guy who Pedraza beat for the world title. You got to be somewhat good to be fighting these guys, I'm assuming. He gets the BBB of C British title. Had the WBO Intercontinental title. Fought for a lot of regional titles. This is a what is that? CBC. Okay. This is a really good regional fighter. And he fought at lightweight at one point. It's really a super. He was bouncing a lot in between weights. See if we can find Lim Walsh here. Super featherweight of the 2010s. No Lim Walsh. Lightweights of the 2010s. Let's Lim Walsh. No Lim Walsh. He was never ranked. Still a really solid regional fighter. It's a 5 out of 10. That's a 5 out of 10 victory. I'm really high on the regional stuff. That does boost him up a bit. He was probably the best UK guy in the super featherweight division at the time, unless somebody's slipping my mind. But at the end of the day, the guy was never ranked. Then he fights Francisco Fonesca, which I believe to not be the greatest fighter. 36-4. He finished his career. He retired. He's not retired yet. When did he fight Tank? Fought Tank a while ago. He fought Gervonta Davis. Really long time ago, actually. 2017. Okay, so we got to go back another page. Jesus. Yeah, this man's pretty active. He fought Gervonta before fighting Tank. It seems like he never fought for the IBF Intercontinental. But it seems like he never got to that world title level. Gets stopped by Tank. Goes immediately into fighting 6-rounders. Comes back, stops the guy in 5 to become the WBO Latino super featherweight champion. Not a bad title to hold for yourself. He loses. Oh man, he has a world title fight against Tevin Farmer, which he lost. UD wasn't able to catch that one, so wouldn't tell you how that went. He stops the guy in 1, stops the guy in 5, stops the guy in 7, goes on a really good streak, has a majority draw for the IBO title, which would have been another pretty good title to have on his resume, which he lost. Then he fights for the WBC silver lightweight title and gets stopped in 1 by Ryan. And then from there, fought a 11-round fight. That is weird. From there, he doesn't do much. He wins another regional title, some South American title, I'm assuming. Fights for the IBF international title, which he never defends. This guy's okay. He's another 5 type of guy. I think he was strictly at 130. I don't think he was ever ranked. Oh yeah, no, Francisco Vargas. Yep, just Francisco Vargas. We're looking for Fonesca. Never ranked. That's another 5 out of 10 type of guy, in my opinion. That's another 5. Seemed like he was able to get some decent titles. He got the IBF Intercontinental title. I think he got the Latino title, if I remember correctly. But never got to that big world class level. He did have that title fight with Farmer and the silver title with Ryan, which he both lost. He lost both. Then Tank fights Jesus, Marcelo, Andreas, Cellular. Hope I'm saying that right. That one's in Barclays. Finished his career 29-4. Jesus, Marcelo, Andreas, Cellular. Hope I'm saying that right. This guy got stopped by Javier Fortuna in 2 for the WBC Continental Americas. Stopped the guy in 6. Tank stopped him in 3. Lost a split decision to whoever this is for the WBA featherweight title. So this guy was a featherweight. He wasn't even a super featherweight. And he was coming off of a loss. Was he ever champion? Interim. Yeah, he was champion. And then he lost that title to this man back in 2016 and takes a year. He fights in December of 2016, then fights Tank in April of 2018. Wasn't champion, coming off a loss. I don't know how this fight went. Maybe it was a robbery, maybe not. But with the context that I've been given, not a good win. This is really a head scratcher by Gervonta Davis. Let's make sure this guy wasn't like a 2-3 division champion. Seems like he only fought at featherweight. He had the Latino WBO title, featherweight. Tank, he's moving a guy up who's coming off a loss and who hasn't fought in over a year, making their 130-pound debut. Can't give you too much credit for that one, man. He was a world champion. Another 5 in my opinion. Another 5. Like, this is all objective. I want to speak from a very objective stance. No bias. No, well, he looked really good. We're talking winning titles. At the end of the day, results is what matters to the most in my eyes. He fights Hugo Ruiz. He stops in 1. Hugo Ruiz finished his career 39-5, being stopped 4 times. Gervonta Davis was actually the last fight. He's coming off 2 victories in 10-round fights. This guy does not look great. Lost the interim title. Yeah. He was another 120. Oh wow. This guy was a 118 pounder. Moved up to 22. Had 2 fights at 26, and then debuted against Tank at 130, in which Tank obviously stopped him in the first round, because the guy, let's actually see what he debuted at. The guy debuted at 115, and I'm assuming he made most of his career at 118, bouncing back and forth between 15 and 18. He even had a fight at 22. Okay, not a great win again. Guy didn't capture gold, got stopped in 1. It's a 3 out of 10 type of win in my eyes. Now we get to getting closer to more of the good stuff. Ricardo Nunez finished his career 26-7. I couldn't pronounce that word. I really couldn't. Man, what is going on with my computer today? This thing is insanely slow. Thank you. Okay. Gervonta Davis fought him in 2019. Stopped him in 2. He goes on, wins this WBA title, some of this regional title, maybe a Latin American title. Loses that title. No, defends it didn't defend it. Just knocks somebody out. Goes on a 3-fight losing streak. This guy's a gold medalist, and he lost his last fight. I really like this kid, Albert Batir Gaziv. I'm pretty sure that's how he's pronounced it. He's a really good kid though. Never gets back. Oh. Gets that Latino title. Never quite gets back up to the world championship level. Yeah, didn't have any title fights. Just a bunch of 8s and 10 rounders. He was of size. Never really had a meaningful world or regional title until after Tank. He grabbed the Latino title, or not Latino, Central American title. I'm assuming he fought in Panama for it, and then he becomes the WBC Latino champion. So another 4 out of 10. Another guy who we would not be mentioning if he did not fight Tank. Tank goes on. He fights Yurokis Gamboa in 2019 and stops Yurokis Gamboa in the 12th. Let's take a look at it right now. Where was Gamboa at? Gamboa was never ranked at lightweight. That's crazy. He was never ranked at lightweight. Even when Bud beat him. Never ranked at lightweight. Wow. So he went back down to 30 after fighting Bud. Seemed like, yeah, he was still at 30. Let's see. Junior lightweight. Gamboa was only ranked for 1 year at lightweight. He was really a featherweight. That's the thing with Gamboa. You guys know Gamboa. Gamboa is a great fighter. He was an amazing fighter. He's an arguable Hall of Famer. I think he will make the Hall of Fame based off his amateur pedigree. Obviously, featherweight champ, long reigning featherweight unified. Long reigning unified featherweight champion. Goes up to 30. Never captures the title. Becomes interim. Fights Crawford. Gets stopped by Crawford in 2014. See if the big question, does he ever bounce back from that knockout loss to Crawford before he runs into a Gervonta Davis? Wins two 10 rounders by UD. Then he gets stopped by this man who was 23-12. Gets stopped in that one. Goes majority decision with Alexis Reyes. Goes majority decision again with Jason Sosa. Beats this guy in 10 round decision. Knocks a guy out in 2. and then stopped by Tank, beat bad by Haney, and then beat bad by Pitbull, Eastside Cruz. It's not a good win for Tank. If I had to be honest with you guys, Gamboa was a great fighter at one point, arguable pound for pound fighter at one point, arguable Hall of Famer to this day. It's not a great win for Tank. Gamboa wasn't on any sort of streak. He had zero momentum. Only reason we're talking about this guy on Tank's resume because his name, who he was at 126, who he was when he fought Terrence Crawford, which was like 5 years before he fought at Gervonta Davis. On to the next. We get to Mr. Leo Santa Cruz. It's going to be interesting. Santa Cruz, if my memory serves me right, is a 4-division champion. So this is going to be interesting. We need to look at, what did they fight at? 30? Okay. We need to look at the splashes he made in the 26, 30, 35 division. Whatever he did at 22 or 18, I don't care for. All right. First world title fight was the bantamweight IBF world title. Captured that in 2012. Then he defends that title a couple times. Moves up to super bantamweight. Grabs the super bantamweight title. Defends that title for a while. Has a tune-up at featherweight. I don't think I realized I could recognize any of these names, but he has a tune-up at feather. He goes on and then captures, I don't know if he would be considered unify here, but he captures at least one featherweight title. Defends that, loses to Carl Frampton, which is not the worst loss in the world. Majority decision, by the way. Then goes back and beats him by majority. I think I actually have watched this fight. This was not a bad fight. Goes back to defending that title. Goes back to fights this guy again. Okay, it was a majority, then he UD'd him. More defenses, and then Tank knocks him out. So that's a pretty good win by Gervonta Davis. That's a pretty good win from Tank. If we look at super feather, he was only ranked for 1 year. Is that right? Come on. You telling me he was champion? Y'all just... Oh, he went back down to feather. He didn't have a lot of fights at super feather. Okay, he really had no fights at super feather. Let's pull up featherweight then. Featherweight of the 2010s. Let's see. We're looking for who now? Leo Santa Cruz. Okay, he was ranked. No, he wasn't. Leo Santa Cruz was ranked 2015, 16, 17, and 18, and then he jumped up 19. Okay, that's a pretty good win for Gervonta Davis. I'm pretty cool with that one. I'm pretty cool calling that one a good win. I'll give this one an actual 8. That's his Victor Postal. That's his underrated fighter that we may overlook at times. But that is a solid 8. We get to Mario Barrios, who Tank stopped in the 11th, I believe. And that would actually put us in the... We're moving closer to the 2020s. We're looking for Barrios. Barrios is ranked 9th around the time Tank fought him. Even in 2020, he was ranked 7th. Didn't want to pull that up. What am I doing? Mario Barrios. 10-rounder. WBA World Super. He wasn't the real champ. I hate that they do. He wasn't the real champ. It was Josh Taylor. But okay. Either way, Tank takes that title from him, drops it. He loses to Keith Thurman, which is a okay win. I mean, okay loss. I'll accept. Beats Yordenis Ugas for the interim title at welterweight, and then he gets promoted eventually and never defends the title because the guy's been in back-to-back draws. Today, as it stands, we all understand Mario Barrios is very far from a great fighter. No knock on the kid, but he's very far from a great fighter as it stands today. But he was champion at 140. He has become two division champion. Now that he's at 47, but he has to draw to Abel Ramos. He has to draw to Manny Pacquiao, which really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Really does. Only ranked for 2 years at 140. Obviously currently ranked at 47. Why not? Why not, Tank? It's just 6.5. Why not, Tank? Are you happy? He's two division. I give it to him. Now we move into Isaac Cruz, another guy I'm not too high on. Isaac Cruz is now 28-3-1. Had a very up and down career thus far. He has a big fight coming up with Lamont Roach. So Isaac Cruz never was able to capture the title before fighting Tank. He obviously fights Tank. He loses the UD. A lot of people thought he won. He clearly lost that fight, which is okay. Tank has only fought 5 times since then. That's crazy. Fights Gamboa, stops Gamboa, gets the WBC silver lightweight title. Very close fight with Giovanni Cabrera. Fight for some regional titles. Stops Rolly to become world champion. Never defends that title. This was not a majority decision. He got dominated. And then he has the close fight with this guy. And then he had another relatively close fight. Now he's set to fight Lamont Roach. Pitbull's a 6. He's a 6 flat. I didn't like the way he looked here. I said I'm not going to say that. We're using objective metrics. How many times did they defend the title? How many titles did they capture? How many wins did they have? Objective metric, Jerry. Got to be consistent. He's a 1 division champion with no defenses. He's a good win. He's a 6. He's right there with Barrios, really. He's a 6.5. Not outstanding, not terrible. He's a 6.5. We could even look where he was ranked at lightweight, actually. He was never ranked. Wow. Okay. It's interesting. Then we get to Rolly Romero, who's now been able to build somewhat of a career for himself. Shout out to Rolly. Maybe he has that big fight coming up with Mr. Manny Pacquiao. So that'd be something pretty dope to watch. But let's take a look at what Rolly's been able to do. First 12-rounder is for the interim title, which Tank was technically interim, but whatever. Or Tank was, we had a super champion. Fights for the interim. Guess defends that interim twice. Tries to get the real title off Tank. Doesn't. Not successful in doing so. Despite him not looking good in this fight, he was awarded the victory. Not going to be biased here. He was awarded the victory, becoming a 1 division champion. And he then immediately gets stopped by Isaac Cruz. He doesn't stop this guy, Manuel Jaimez, who is stopped by Abdullah Mason in his very next fight, which is a bit disappointing. Was he? Am I making this up? Guys? Low for me. Abdullah Mason stopped him in the 4th. Very next fight. Okay, that's what I thought. So, yep. Rolly's not able to stop a guy Abdullah is able to stop. Abdullah is amazing. Yeah, he's very young. Then he goes on. He beats Ryan Garcia to become a 2 division champ. Not 3. I'm not giving him 3. I know a lot of you guys want to give him 3. He goes on to become a 2 division champ. And if we go to the lightweight rankings, I think it wasn't ranked in the 2010s. Let's try to get the 2020s up here. Man. We'll pull up 21. If he wasn't ranked in 21, he was never ranked. That is Errol Spence. Lightweight, and nope. Not ranked. Okay. Rolly. No title defenses. He's beat Ryan Garcia for the title. Interim title, now that he's promoted though. And then he beat Ishmael Barroso for the title. No defenses though. Another 6. Another 6. That's all I'm giving him. The Ryan Garcia win may boost him to the 6.5 range, but no, not great nonetheless. We get to Mr. Hector Luis Garcia now, who was, let's load, 16-2. Hector Luis Garcia fought an 11-round fight as well. No contest fight. stopped the guy in the 4th, 8-rounder, UD 12-rounder, wins the title in a 12-round decision, gets stopped by Tank, goes back down. He's really a 26-pounder, jumped up to 30 briefly, then jumped up to 35 to get stopped, and then he fights a Lamont Roach. And he loses to Roach, who I believe to not be the best fighter on the planet. Not the best. Hector Luis Garcia is another 5.5. He did become champ. He was relatively prime when Tank fought him, but not a very talented fighter. Not a really great fighter worth mentioning. He's a 5.5. Maybe a 5. A 5. We get to Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia now has 2 losses. Ryan Garcia, leading up into the Tank fight, grabs the WBC silver and the NABO title, which was the WBO. He beats Francisco Finesca, which we spoke on earlier, for the silver lightweight title. And the interim title he gets off Luke Campbell. He doesn't defend, it goes to 40. Knocks out a Javier Fortuna, which is a solid win. Goes on, fights the Tank, gets stopped. Knocks out a Oscar Duarte, which I like Oscar Duarte actually. And then he has no contest with Devin Haney. This was not a majority decision. This was a no contest fight. Should probably get this one fixed, Fight Facts. And then he gets embarrassed by Rolly to finally become world champ. So Ryan has never been world champ. Ryan has no good stoppages or really good wins on his resume. Let's see. When would Ryan ever be ranked? We could close 2021. Ryan might have been ranked in 2023. If he wasn't ranked in 23, he would have never been ranked. And he wasn't ranked in 23. So yeah, Ryan was never ranked. And the never champion. Never really had any great wins. That leaves us down to Frank Martin and Lamont Roach. Frank Martin. Why is his face low like that? Frank Martin, 18-1, 12 knockouts. Still hasn't gotten the ring since fighting Gervonta Davis. This guy started boxing fairly old, fairly late. He was not young when he started. Frank got stopped at 8 by Mr. Tank. He had that tough fight with Artem Hardatunian. I think that's the name. Had that dominant performance against Michelle Rivera, which he dominated. Never fought for the regional title. Never fought for NABO, NABF, Latino, nothing. Just a guy that PBC kind of moved along, progressed pretty well. He had 2 really challenging fights in the Michelle Rivera and then the Artem, and they kind of threw him in there with a Gervonta, and we see what the results were, and they made perfect sense. Frank Martin's not a good win. Objectively speaking, Frank Martin hasn't done enough in his career to warrant me calling him a good win. He's another 5.5 in my opinion. I think the Artem Michelle Rivera fights are okay. Another 5.5. Then we get to Mr. Lamont Roach. And I know a lot of you guys are high on Roach because he looked good against Tank. But that's why we have a whole career to go off of. We can see exactly who Lamont Roach was before fighting Tank, not after, because he hasn't fought. So Roach fighting 10 rounders for the WBO International Super Featherweight title. Does his thing with that, and he goes for the actual world title. He doesn't get stopped, but he loses to a Jamel Herring. I think he got dropped in this fight. I think they didn't count it, but he goes on. He's just fighting 10 rounders. NABA title, 12 rounder. Beats Hector Luis Garcia by split decision. A guy which I think I rated a 5.5, somewhere around there. Beats him by split. Defends that title 1 time in a knockout stoppage victory. Moves up, takes Tank to a majority. So a fight Tank didn't even win. It's a 4. Considering who Roach is, what he had accomplished at that point, how he had looked up until that point, and considering Tank wasn't able to handle the guy how he was supposed to, it's a 4. It's a 4. Now, when we're looking at the totality of Gervonta Davis' career, unfortunately, we're looking at a 5.5. I think that's a fair rating for the guy. Most of these guys are making their world title debut in that weight class. Most of these guys are, never held a title in that weight class. Most of these guys aren't active champions. That's just a harsh reality of it. Tank's not really looking to make any drastic jumps in weight neither. I gotta give his resume a 5.5 at best. You could even drop it to a 5. If you really hate the guy, you could drop it to a 4.5. I think that's a bit excessive though. But you guys, let me know, how do you feel about Gervonta Davis' resume? How do you feel about the Gervonta Davis versus Jake Paul fight? I hope to catch you guys in the next one.